On?
He didn't say one. Is it an industry thing?
Yes.
On. There we go.
All right. Welcome to, and listen to this, the CCO Pre-Show for episode 479
And?
the awesome bracket game.
Holy shit.
That didn't sound as awesome as I thought it was going to.
No.
Well,
but we
listen.
know how people are going to enter to win stuff today, which is fun.
Yes, we do. Okay, so here's the thing. Brought to you by the wonderful patrons at patreon.com/CCO podcast.
Whether they like it or not.
And they do. Or they will.
Yeah.
So here's what we have. You've heard of Commander Bracket.
Everybody has heard of the bracket to this point, I believe.
Most likely. That's what we're talking about this week. On the pre-show today, on the regular show tomorrow, we've been asked about our extended thoughts. I've done some discussion with the members of the CCO Nation in our Discord. I'm sure you've lurked in there. We've watched some of our own content or like stuff and formulated some opinions.
I talked to the Dude Bros yesterday.
Oh, yeah? What did they say?
While
Anything?
we're drinking beer.
Oh, good idea.
They say most of the same things that I was saying or will be saying. Lots of threes. Lots of threes out there. And I have the numbers to back it up written on this piece of paper.
I have the numbers to back it up as well. And you know what? I got to say.
Lots of ones is threes. And you will not be able to guess which one is my strongest deck according to the bracket.
No way.
You'll never guess.
Oh, man. Okay, see, it opens up so many different avenues for conversation. You'll never guess, like, where one or a couple of my decks land based on having one card in them or whatever, right?
Bello's a 1.
Bello's a 1.
Bello.
And it's fucking not.
It's not a 1.
No. So that's why we talk, and that's why we kind of make our way through everything and discuss like the intent, right? Intent, very important. Do I follow the law or do I follow the intent of the law? Very important.
Oh, Maggie agrees with that one for sure.
Very much so.
What a dog.
What is it? Timmy's stuck in the well?
She's sad because producer Gary not here today, and Maggie is Gary's girl.
Yes, we've
very
got producer Dragoon on the ones and twos as another industry buzzword.
Yes, Panzer Dragoon, if you've played that game.
Yes.
The rail shooter. It's pretty good.
Yes. Okay, so speaking of game, here's the thing.
Games, okay?
I've got in front of me, I just gotta bring it up because it's not in front of me. I have in front of me the list of game changers.
Oh, the list is so stupid.
Okay, so we've got 40 cards that are help you determine what level your games are at, right? We're going to get into it tomorrow, but you're watching a Magic podcast on the internet. You probably already know what they are.
Yeah.
I want to ask you.
Me.
Each color.
Each color.
What card would you take off of the list? And what card would you maybe have or put onto the list? That one's a little bit harder because it's a little bit on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't care, though. I'm putting you on the spot.
Are you prepared with answers as well, or is this just me playing? And everybody else also, if you put your answers in the comments below, you could win yourself a CCO sticker pack, a CCO token pack, or a lame-ass old pack of Magic the Gathering cards. Did you see somebody?
I did.
Call themselves a trollop?
You even started and flagged it in the email. You were like, "Oh, fuck, Ryan's got to see this. This is awesome." Yes. Yeah, last week's booster pack has gone out, and when I say booster pack, I mean booster pack.
Yeah, they asked for a booster pack.
That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. So here's the thing. I've got the list. White. Granite Magistrate, Enlightened Tutor, Sarah's Sanctum, Smothering Titties, or Trouble in Pairs. Which card do you take off?
Smothering Tithe.
Smothering Tithe?
Smothering Tithe.
And reason, sir, in, 20 seconds or less.
20 seconds or less. I think that it's ubiquitous enough, and we've all seen Smothering Tithe played, and how many games has it actually absolutely taken over and blown out in a way where it's like, man, I wish they just banned that card. Unless somebody else is drawing a degenerate number of cards. Like, it's fine. It's white.
And you know what the thing about Smothering Tithe is? It's the kind of card that gets better as your opponent's decks get better because the mana that they're using is tighter and probably they're drawing more cards than what is normal.
Yeah.
Like Smothering Tithe versus the One Ring, lot better than Smothering Tithe versus turn 6, 6-drop, go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Smothering Tithe, okay.
Smothering Tithe, they take off.
You know what? I have trouble with the redundancies within the bracket explanations and having tutors in the game changers list. So I would want to say Enlightened Tutor, but I'm going to say Sarah's Sanctum.
Because nobody has that.
A, nobody has it. B, if you're playing in sanctioned tournaments like at face-to-face opens where they have like the CEDH 5Ks.
Yeah.
Those are sanctioned Magic events, no proxies.
Yeah.
Everybody's got like $400, $500 Magic cards kicking around. Also, it's only good if you chalk your deck full of like 1 and 2 drop enchantments like Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth and stuff. And that's a very specific deck that you're probably not going to run into very often.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
Okay, on to blue. Oh, what would you add? What would you add in white?
Tef's Protection.
Ooh.
Because I feel like looking at this list and listening to the explanation of why things are on this list from a couple other people, there's a lot of, I'm not going to use the word butthurt, but I do want to say the word butthurt out loud. There's a lot of feel-bad inclusions on here, and I think that Tef's Protection falls under that umbrella, where it just takes a win and turns it into probably a loss. Because somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to win, damn it.
I'm going to win, but except for one guy, and then I'm probably going to lose because all my marbles are going to be in one basket over in Timbuktu, and this guy's coming straight down Broadway right at my nuts.
Yeah, and now I'm dead. So I think in the spirit of the list, I feel Tef's Protection does belong on here. And originally I thought Armageddon, but I feel like
that's a good one.
They've talked about the land denial stuff, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow.
It goes back to the redundancy thing,
so
right?
I just figured, well, I'm not going to waste my pick. What about you? You got a thing you'd put on?
You know what? I like Tef's Protection. I don't think it needs to be on the list. If it were on the list, I would cite a different reason. I would cite the not the feel bad reason like you do, but the reason that it doesn't feel like it's a card that gets better the higher kind of competition you play it at.
Right.
The card is good when you're playing core and upgraded like the lower tier or the lower brackets, when mostly you're going to win the game with combat damage. Your Tef's protecting when you're going to get attacked. And it's powerful there. And it's also powerful when somebody's comboing on a single turn in CEDH. So it's like powerful everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on to blue. Blue, we got Cyclonic Rift, Expropriate, Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study, Thassa's Oracle, Urza, Lord High Artificer, Mystical Tutor, and Jin-Gitaxias Core Augur. That's Jin-Gitaxias 1, the guy that makes your opponent's hand into 0.
This is so easy, and it's Jin-Gitaxias.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you as somebody that plays Jin-Gitaxias in a deck, I have never, not one time, not a single time, ever seen somebody discard their entire hand to a Jin-Gitaxias, and I have never drawn 7 cards at the end of my turn. And it's a 4/3 for fucking 10.
It does cost 10.
It costs 10.
It does cost 10.
It's a 5/4, but it's a whatever. It's a minuscule sized creature with no evasion for 10.
You know what mine is?
Tell me.
Expropriate.
Why is that extra turn spell more egregious than the other ones?
Very specifically, it can give you chained extra turns, and then it introduces like a redundancy again in the game changers list and the bracket kind of rules system. So it's already redundant. It costs 8. No, sorry, it costs 9, even more. And it is, when you're at 9, maybe you're at the point in the game, if you're playing like upgraded or 3 or 4 level, where it's like, hey, we should kind of expect spells of this kind of altitude to do this powerful of a thing. Right? So which one would you add in blue?
Kind
of tough.
The Sphinx. If I have to add one.
Consecrated Sphinx.
I would put Constipated Sphinx on. Just because it provides, like, if you're going to put Ristic Study on here,
Yep.
which I think probably shouldn't be on here beyond the fact that it's expensive and annoying. I would put Constipated Sphinx on because it probably gives you as much, if not more, card advantage, plus a giant flying body.
Yeah, block's really good.
Yeah, so like, I don't think that should actually be on here, but if somebody held a freaking knife to my head and said you have to pick a blue card, that's the blue card I'd pick.
A knife to my head. I don't think that's the saying, but I know what you mean. The intent.
Yes.
The intent. That's a good one. In my mind, I would maybe say like Force of Negation because it's like Fierce Guardianship.
And Force of Will.
Yeah, but I mean that only is free when it's not your turn.
When are you gonna? I don't know. I feel like that is irrelevant how good that card is.
Yeah, it's a defensive card instead of like it can't really be used. It can be, but you have to have the mana. It can't be used as an offensive counterspell. When I'm trying to win on my turn, I need the mana to play it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not quite as good. I've probably won more games and not lost as many games when I cast Pact of Negation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's a good one too, because that literally has a frickin' 0 on it, right?
Yeah.
Or it has a nothing on it.
It's 0.
Yeah, it's just like you can't pay mana to cast that card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good.
So, okay, those ones are fun. And I mean, we could probably discuss for a week in detail, like the commander group who put this together probably did, like every single card like this, right?
Yeah.
So let's move on to black.
Yes.
Bolus's Citadel, D-Toots, Imperial Seal, Opposition Agent, Turgid, Vampiric Tutor, and Ad Nauseum.
This is another super easy one, and you take Turgid off.
Take Turgid off?
When was the last time you saw somebody play a Turgid onto the table and have the game just warp all the way around her? When was the last time you even heard of somebody putting a Turgid in their 99? Besides me, have you ever seen a Turgid deck ever?
And
I only built it because everybody said I shouldn't.
Yeah, and you also don't have it anymore.
Yeah, I took it apart.
Because everybody hated playing against it.
Yeah.
It kind of socially
It worked itself out.
Worked itself out like if it wasn't a game changer, it would work itself out in the bracket kind of first part of this new ruling system where you're playing Turgid, you're sacrificing, you're making people sack creatures or lands or discard cards, and then you freaking get them.
Yeah.
You're doing all of the things that the bracket system tells you not to, unless you're playing at levels 4 or 5, in which case
She's fine.
She's fine, or she just gets all the way blown out because people actually run removal at those brackets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Turgid is a good one.
And
And to answer your other question, when have I seen Turgid in a 99? Since 2019 when that card came out?
Yeah.
Maybe once, maybe. And maybe it was actually just your Turgid deck when she was in the command zone. I don't know.
And somebody put it back into my hand, and I played it from there. And I'm going to put it one step further for anybody who's like, man, Turgid is so game warping. And so, when was the last time you saw somebody go just, ugh, and get so demoralized when a Turgid hits the table, as opposed to a Toxrill? Toxrill is a game warping card, and it's not on here, whereas Turgid is. And I think if Turgid's going to be on here and that one's not, there's a. This is where I say that this is the feel bads or the butthurt inclusion.
There's no denying that Turgid, like Toxrill, is a game warping card. If I sit down and say, I want to play my bird deck, because that's my deck that's maybe closest to like a 1, right? It's probably my least powerful deck. And you say, well, my Turgid deck is doesn't have any game changers. It's maybe a 2 or a 3 because it is powerful, right? That would blow me out of the water.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want that. So, like, I can get why Turgid's on the list.
Sure.
Should I don't know. The thing about a game changer being a legendary creature, though, is, like, that counts as one of your things. And that means that your Turgid deck can't be
a 1 or a 2.
A 1 or a 2, yeah. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how I feel about that yet.
I'm percolating on that one as well. If I could add a card to black, it would be Torrent of Hailfire.
Oh,
all day, every day, because that is one of those. And I remember hearing a couple of other people have said that cards that just go from nothing to I win, and there are very few cards that exemplify that more than Torrent of Hellfire for 10. Like, you're probably going to win that game.
Yeah, Torment of Hailfire for 10 when everybody's at like, well, 30.
Yeah.
30 means my opponent's boards have nothing on them.
Or they're dead. Or both.
Well, if they're at 30, they're not dead because they'll just sacrifice all their shit.
Yeah.
And then that's not fun for them. That a lot of these things, and I'm going to probably use this phrase over the next day or so quite a bit, is they remove agency from your opponent. They don't allow your opponent to play. That's kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They eliminate choices. They eliminate contributions. Torment to Hailfire can do that.
Yeah.
The only caveat, and the reason I think it's not on the list, is because you need, well,
65 mana.
yeah, exactly. 12 mana in your case,
Yeah.
which you're not just making 12 mana. You actively have to try to do that, right? Now, you could be playing mono black.
Yeah.
You could have some maybe other game changers that we're
Yeah.
going to see. But let's move on. This is an easy one. Red. We got Jessica's Will and Underwear Breach. Which one are you taking off?
Jessica's Will? Because I play it the most,
Jessica's Will.
Because I think Underwear Breach is when
You know what? This is harder than I think it is.
when I was building my Rev deck, this is what I thought in my head. 'Cause I wanted my Rev deck to scale really well. And when I thought, can this hang with like the big swing and CDH decks?
Mhm.
And the reason that I thought maybe is because of Underworld Breach.
Yes.
Because I could use their Underworld Breach to breach combo myself.
Ooh.
Right?
I'm going to breach myself.
That is a huge game-changing play. Whereas a Jessica's Will, I've certainly played Jessica's Wills into board was like, I guess I'll just turn my 3 mana into 5 mana and play a 5-drop.
Yes.
I will reveal 3 cards, play none of them, and be sad.
Yes.
I've certainly done that.
You know
So
what,
I think the floor to ceiling ratio there is like
Yeah, when you...
nobody plays Underworld Breach to do fair things.
That's what I was going to say, is when you look at the floor and ceiling of every card on this list, which, again, I'm sure the people who made this list did. At least I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt of doing, because there are lots of people who are smart and care about Magic.
Sure.
Okay.
Not just us.
We at least care about Magic. So Jessica's Will, I think the floor and the ceiling is actually quite a bit narrower than the floor and the ceiling for Underworld Breach. The thing about Underworld Breach is nobody's building it for the floor.
No.
No, everybody's building it saying, I'm going to make the floor equal to the ceiling, and then the ceiling is going to be shooting a fucking rocket into outer space, right? Like Underworld Breach is a game-changing card.
Yes.
And
Whereas Jessica's Will could be, but it requires other things to happen. If your deck isn't built to be blow you out .strong, Jessica's Will isn't going to get you there.
And the same is true about Underworld Breach. If it's not built to blow you out with Underworld Breach doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We're going to leave both those cards on that list.
If I had to add a red one, and this is controversial because I do play this in every one of my mono red decks, I'd put Blood Moon on it.
Blurred Moon. Oh, that goes back to Mana Denial,
Yeah,
though.
and I feel like that's a little bit different because I think that people are going to hold things like Armageddon, Winter Orb, and Blood Moon. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are going to look at those as 3 separate things, whereas I think for the purposes of this list and the bracket system, they're all the same thing.
Mhm.
And so I put Blood Moon on there just because I know people hate it, and they like to run greedy mana bases with no basics in them. So here we are. And given that the benchmark of a precon is 2, and all of their mana comes into play tapped because they refuse to print good lands into precons, if you play a Blood Moon against a precon, it instantly makes your deck better. Because now not only is their land coming into play tapped, it still doesn't give them the colors that they want.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what the other thing, too, is, and it says it right in Gavin's article, and everybody's talking about, oh, yeah, you could probably go up or down like a level, and you could say, oh, my level 2 deck has 1 game changer in it. Fucking Blood Moon, noob. I guess you don't play Magic.
Yes.
Yes, you could do that.
Yes.
Yes, you could do that. You shouldn't. So Blood Moon could be on this list.
Sure.
Yeah. Green, we got another short one. Survival of the Fittest. Vorniclex, Voice of Hunger. That's Vorniclex 1.
Yep.
And then Gaia's Cradle. Oof. That's a good card.
Oof. all of those cards, actually.
Yeah. You know what? If I were going to remove a card, I would remove Vorinclex because it's not a repeatable tutor and it doesn't give you overwhelming card advantage or like mana advantage on turn fucking 1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cite your reason for Jin-Gitaxias coming off of blue is this is an 8-drop, and very, very, very rarely have I ever, and usually this is how it works, especially in casual Magic.
Yep.
Who's going to kill that Vorinclex? Anybody who kills it, we're going to leave alone because your mana stays tapped for a turn.
Yep. We'll give you a turn away from us doing anything bad to
Yeah.
you, and you make the deal amongst your peers. Maybe they get it for 1 turn, and then it's dead and it's gone. And
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
You know what I would
Vorinclex.
put on instead?
What would you put?
Craterhoof Behemoth.
Crater.
For the same reason that I said Tef's Protection, and the same reason that I said whatever my black card was, Torrent of Hailfire,
Mhm.
because it goes from like, hey, I got a bunch of weenies on the table, I'm blocking, I got 7 1/1s, I'm playing saps, I got 100 saps, but they're so small I can't get in. Oops, and the game's over.
Yeah.
That's the exact reason I cut Craterhoof from my Tana deck, because I found it was just going too much. Like, hey, I have 12 saps. I guess I'll just win.
Yeah, you know what? Craterhoof in a green deck feels an awful lot like, he's got 8 guys. Does he have 8 mana? It's like, he's untapping with 7 mana, guys, 2 blue. Does he got Rift? And guess what's on the list?
Yep.
Cyclonic Rift.
Correct.
Right? So, again, you do got to do some work. You got to have guys, right? So
But,
I
like, if you're
understand
playing-
why it ain't on the list.
If you're playing green and you ain't got guys, I don't know if you're actually playing green.
mono green stacks.
I have tried that.
Turn. Now you can't play Winter Orb no more though.
God damn it.
They got you.
And they got me so good.
Okay, multicolor. This is the weirdest section.
These are all banned as commander, essentially, right?
Yes.
Or like, these commanders are this level now, period.
And we've reached the point where
We've reached
the top, Harry. I've reached the top. This list, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I love this list for this reason. We can put commanders on here. Okay, the opposite of what I said for Turgid. We can put commanders on this list, and it relegates them by the nature of the rules of this system to not casual tables anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I like that. Also, I don't like playing against Keenan Bonder Prodigy, Yuriko Tiger Shadow, Winona Joiner of Forces, Grand Arbiter Augustine IV. Fucking advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't like playing, or Urza, or Turgid. I don't like playing against any of those guys, and now they're relegated to level 3, 4, or 5.
There you go. You've
and
done it.
That's
I would leave all these guys on here, and like we talked about earlier, I would add Toxrill to this.
You would add Toxrill.
And I play Toxrill. I have a Toxrill deck. And I would put him on here just to make sure that, hey, everybody, my Toxrill deck isn't a 2. Because I think it might be. Hang on. Just a second. I'm going to look. You talk while I find.
Well, I was going to move on to Colorless because I don't know who I would add as far as multicolor is concerned.
My Toxrill is a 2.
Your Toxrill is
and anybody
a 2.
who's ever played against my Toxrill deck, it's not a fucking 2.
I'm sure that there's multicolor commanders that I also don't like playing against. I'm not sure if Edric Spymaster of Trest, because there's not one single Edric Spymaster of Trest that is an extra turns and flying men.
Yep.
And no, that would create a redundancy because they already say no chaining extra turns.
Yep.
Frick.
Yep.
All right. Well,
continuing on to
Colorless. Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, the One Ring, Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, Trinisphere,
come on,
Grim Monolith,
come on,
Lion's Eye Diamond,
what?
Mox Diamond,
Jesus,
Mana Vault,
what a joke.
Glacial Chasm.
This list sucks.
This list sucks.
This is where I think we run into the, well, I don't own these, so we should just ban them. You can't have things that, well, it gives you 2 mana on turn 1 and then not have Sol Ring on the list. And Sol Ring shouldn't be on the list, and neither should, I would argue, all of these cards except for maybe the Tabernacle. The Tabernacle,
who has that card?
And nobody has it.
$4,000.
I've run into a Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale once. In all the time I've been playing Commander, I've seen that card played once.
Yeah, because you were there when it was built.
You're right. And you know what happened to it?
Strip Mine.
I don't want to say somebody was playing Blood Moon in their deck and saved everybody, but that's what happened to it.
Rhymed with Schmudschmloon?
Exactly. So, I don't know. This is where I think that things get kind of like, really?
I'm going to take the opposite line.
Okay.
While I can recognize that there is a portion of the player base who is in the camp that you're in,
Sure.
I like that they're on this list because it says, again, there is a rules system that keeps this kind of Magic play to a certain group of Magic players.
Sure.
And that, I hate to use the word like, it creates a safe space for other Magic players, like we're trying to physically harm them. But that's what it creates. It creates a place that I can sit down with my deck that's worse than a precon because I'm an idiot, or actually my precon.
Yeah.
Right? And it creates a spot in... Okay, I've got 2 decks that are in the 3 category that play the 1 ring. And that's the only thing that puts them in a 3. If I say, this play pattern or this card or this type of card isn't what the official people want for their game, or it's not the kind of culture or environment or play patterns that they envisioned for that card.
They shouldn't have printed it.
They shouldn't have printed it. You're right. But they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Now we have to deal with it.
Now there's a rules system to say, hey, we printed this, but we shouldn't have. How about just relegate that to your more competitive or tuned or powerful decks? And what that does is clear up a spot in my Shrewfus deck, because what the fuck is a 1 ring doing in there except drawing me cards?
That deck is terrible. It needs a 1 ring to work. That's what it's doing in there.
And then the other one is, for thematic reasons, my modified precon Sauron deck.
Of course it's in there. Because it's the 1 ring and it's Sauron.
Yes.
And that deck's a fucking 1.
And
theme. Fully on theme.
I was just going to say. So does that make it a 3 because it's got a 1 ring? Does that make it a 1 because it's got a 1 ring? Or does it make it a 2 and I'm going to split the difference? And then I sit down and say, hey, this is my modified precon Sauron deck. I probably made it worse so it stays at a 2 because I'm not a WotC deck designer.
Yeah.
It only uses Lord of the Rings cards. Oh, yeah, it's got a 1 ring. Right? So what do I do?
We'll pack it up, sucker.
Pack it up, sucker. Go play somewhere else. Go play at the seedy tables. What would you take off?
What would
gun to your head, you can only take 1 off.
Oh, only 1?
Only 1.
Ancient 2.
Ancient 2? Ancient 2. I'd take the 1 ring off.
Fair. Well, I mean, I would argue for the 1 ring to stay only because... Oh, you know what? Fuck that. Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond I would take off.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
That...
Because that's a card that you have to build a specific type of deck to take advantage of. I think people look at it, see it makes 3 mana of any color, costs 0, and think, holy fuck, that's got to be too good. It costs so much money. It has to be so strong.
But it also says discard your hand, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You
discard your hand before you get to play anything with it.
You got to make do. And you can compare Lion's Eye Diamond to Underworld Breach.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you're using it or because you know, then you're gonna do the thing.
Then it's a 3, but like, I don't know, man. Like I play it in.
It's funny, Lion's Eye Diamond and Underworld Breach go hand in hand with each other, hey?
And they do, and you use one to play the other all the time because they fuel each other, right? Like that's the point. But
Jack Nicholson meme.
Right. So I don't know. I'd take Lion's Eye Diamond off just because I think it is a very niche card, and the decks that it's going to be in and be good in aren't going to be 2s anyway. Otherwise, you're just making something. Hey, I'll make 3 mana and discard my hand and play my commander. It's essentially a Jeweled Lotus at that point.
Man, I want Jeweled Lotus to be on this list. And you know what that means? It means it's unbanned.
Yeah, me too.
That's the card I would put onto this list because that would mean it's unbanned.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
that's smart.
Box,
yeah, that's very good. I'd put Mana Crypt on here then.
Oh.
There we go. We got it. We did it. We did it, baby.
In red, Dockside.
Oh, got him. Oh, yeah. Oh, we did it, boys.
We did it. So, okay, we're going to talk about the game changers some more tomorrow. We're going to give our expanded thoughts on the bracket system with examples from our decks. I think it's important if we want to cultivate CCO Nation to be a great place to play Magic, regardless of whether you're a neck breather or
a beard mouth.
Yes. If you're either of those things, as long as you're not an asshole, and we can use this as a tool to kind of gauge assholeness? We're going to talk about it tomorrow. And John's got a great video out. He beat us to the punch based on our recording schedules. So
son of a bitch.
check out all the bracket stuff on the CCO YTC all week. Hit our theme song.
Brr, brr.
Bye-bye.